Smells good. Are you still there, Connie?
Shh, we're going on.
Okay. Sorry.
Hi, everybody. Just in a second, you'll see Lori's face and mine. But let's start now. Here we go. Hey, Blue Rockers, welcome to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. I'm Connie Willis, and this is Far Out Thursday. Hey, everybody, Blue Rock Talk is Earth's most interesting conversations. That includes people, places, and things, and we have a lot of fun all the time. In fact, I'm going to show you exactly some of the fun that we have. If you take a look on Crypto Connie Tuesdays, all across the board, 9 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday nights, Crypto Connie, all about cryptocurrencies, talking about the BitShares dynasty with Stan the Man Larimer, the godfather of BitShares. Wonderful man, and he tells us all that we need to know about crypto in layman's terms. I hope that you can join me for that one. The other show is on Wednesdays. We have just started this Swellness Wednesdays, all about alternative health. And currently we're talking with Margot Tom of Essential Health. She's talking about hormone replacement therapy and also dieting. We're talking weight loss with HCG and even phentermine. I'm doing all of this stuff, so you're going to see me making some changes along the way. Energy changes as well as some weight changes. I'm very excited about this, and I hope that you'll join us on our next show. Also coming soon, not yet, but coming soon, is something called Wasted Wednesdays. When that occurs, well, it's going to be a serious look at the cannabis industry. I'm not quite there yet. I've got a lot of people that I'm talking to behind the scenes about some stuff, but you will learn more about that along the way. I know a lot of you have been asking me about that. Okay, Blue Rock Talks, Bigfoot Friday. You guys know about that. You know what it's all about. We will not be doing that tomorrow night, but I do want you to check the link below for the last documentary that I put together called Bigfoot in the Rockies. You're going to like it, or you're going to hate it, one or the other. It's funny, it's kind of just a raw day out in the Rockies, about less than 7 hours of going Bigfooting with Sasquatch Journey. You see so many things. It's amazing, more than most people see in decades. However, yeah, I put a little music to it because I want it to, and it's my video, and I put some sound effects into it because that's my experience. And there's always a critic out there going to say whatever they want to say. I enjoyed it. A lot of other people do. I hope you do too. And if not, go make your own. That's just all I can say. All right, the other thing that we have here is Stan's Bible lecture. That's also Stan Larimer from the Cryptocurrency. That is a Bible lecture and ready for debate at any time, 2 p.m. Eastern on Sundays. He is a former rocket scientist, and I'm telling you, he'll take you on if you want to do that. That's not a problem. Friday night, tomorrow night, I'm going to be on Coast to Coast. I hope that you'll join me. I'm going to be doing UK Roswell stuff, and that is Rendlesham, right? Jim Peniston is going to join me. He's got a new book coming out, and he's talking about some things that he's never, ever told before that will be in his book, and he's going to talk to us about that tomorrow night on Coast to Coast. And, of course, tonight is a Far Out Thursday, and that's why we're working to Lori, let's see, hold on here. There we go. Lori Williams. She is going to tell us some really cool things that maybe you may or may not know about, and they're called EarthShips. Just a reminder one more time about Bigfoot Friday, the Bigfoot in the Rockies. The link is down below so that you can watch that. And I also want to say while you're here too, be sure and subscribe so that you too can be a Blue Rocker and be in the know. Hit that notification bell so that you'll know when any of these shows are happening. Because I got to tell you, once in a while, I just come and you never know what I'm going to do. We also have hoodies. I've got hoodies and shirts and mugs. I'm so excited. I hope that you order one. And also, if you'd like to give and support to Blue Rock Talk, you can do that right there in crypto down below, or also on my Patreon account. Okay. Hopefully we are not having any problems. Everybody is hearing us okay. I'm going to say hi in the live chat, and I hope everybody's rebooted and it's okay. Are we sounding a whole lot better? And even Lori is in there. Lori is in the house when it comes to the live chat. I love it. I love it. See, we're both pretty technical at that point. I do know that our connection is better. Okay, great. Great. Okay. And Jimmy, you say it's good? Hi, Connie. Glad to see you again. Hey there, Paul. All right, good. I think we're good. I think we're back in sync here a little bit. So here we go with Blue Rock Talk, Earth's most interesting conversations, people, places, and things. It is Far Out Thursday, and we are going to bring on a woman that is a professional remote viewer as well as a remote viewing instructor. She taught me remote viewing. She is awesome. She's incredible. She's also a friend. I am looking forward to seeing her home. I've been at her home a while back, but in the I have never been to the new home that she's about to talk to you about. She did invite me at one point, but I was told the plumbing wasn't working yet, so I think I decided not to worry about it at the time. Oh, okay, yeah, I've got something going on, Lori. I'm not sure what it is, but I'll think of something. Anything other than when you get that plumbing back together, you let me know. So let's bring her on. This is Lori Williams, everybody. You know her. She's been here on Bafflers, on Blue Rock Talk, and I've also interviewed her several times on Coast to Coast as well. Hey, Lori.
Hey, it's great to see you, Connie.
Did you get the plumbing fixed?
The plumbing was never broken. Actually, no.
You were
The
carrying
plumbing
out in buckets or something.
No. The plumbing in the house is set up so that we can take advantage of the water in the desert. So, for example, in the kitchen, it looks like a normal kitchen. You walk in, you've got a normal sink with normal faucets. But underneath the sink, in the cupboards under the sink where people might have a garbage can, for example, we have a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket. So when we use the water flows into the bucket. And then instead of letting it flow out into the sewers, which is what we have in cities, right? All the water flows into a massive sewers, and we're polluting the planet by having that water go into the ocean. We're also, as everyone knows, our drinking water, our clean water that we're using to survive with, that we need to drink for survival, we're pooping in it, we're peeing in it, and we're polluting it. What you remember is that you were reacting to the fact that we don't have flushing toilets. And so it's not because it's broken; it's because we choose to live that way. We have composting toilets. And so composting toilets, actually, when we first moved in, the first thing we thought was the first thing we've got to do is we've got to put in flushing toilets. We're going to put in a septic system, and we're going to have flushing toilets, and we're going to have septic in the sink and the sinks in the kitchen, the showers and all that. But initially, because we didn't have those set up, we were, of course, using the composting toilets and the showers and the sinks that gather water that then we were pouring onto plants. And suddenly it all started making sense to us that this is a way to live more in harmony with the earth instead of flushing away our drinking water. Okay. And then we really quickly realized we didn't want to disturb that ecosystem. We didn't want to start flushing away our drinking water, especially in the desert where water can be scarce. This year, they're having the past 18 months that we've lived here, the locals are telling us this is the wettest year, the wettest 18 months we've had in years and years. We've been through a terrible drought. So they all tell us, even though we've got tons of water right now, don't think this is normal because we could easily go into a drought. And so we've gotten used to it. And actually now, when I use a regular bathroom, like my office here, of course we have a normal bathroom because we're in town, and we actually kind of get grossed out by it. And most people, and the reason we get grossed out by it is because it stinks. When you use a normal bathroom, it stinks, whereas the composting bathroom never stinks. It's set up where it's all it's got a big vent that goes outside, and you have sawdust. And so when you use the restroom, you throw sawdust on top, and it never smells bad. So whereas when you use a normal bathroom, it kind of can be smelly. And so we're just like, wow, this is so great. Not only are we not wasting good drinking water on flushing away waste products, but we're also really caring for the earth. There is a wonderful book called Humanure. It's one word, Humanure.
I like that word.
Yeah, it's really a great book. It's hilarious, but it also has really poignant points, and it has really great argument for saving the earth and using Humanure. Now, they don't use it when it's poop. They use it after it has composted and gone through a biological process that leaves it completely inert. There's no more bacteria, there's no more poop in it, and it becomes kind of a rich, dark loam after 2 or 3 years of composting. And there's a way to do it. You keep it turned over, you add earthworms to it, and you mix it with straw and hay and dirt, and it becomes this rich, dark loam, and it gets very, very hot. It cooks, so to speak. And so once it cooks, and it becomes this dark loam, you actually test it to make sure there's no microbes or bad things in it that could harm anyone. And then when it shows to be completely inert, then you use it. It becomes this very rich, nutrient-rich soil that you can use to plant and use for garden and for permaculture, so that we can bring the earth back to a nutrient-high soil.
So someone in the Dr. Mulder in the live chat says, where I come from, that's called an outhouse.
It's actually not an outhouse, though, because in an outhouse, you don't have access to that stuff. That stuff is buried deep, and it's usually mixed with chemicals, like lime and things like that. Whereas this is not. This is actually held in a receptacle that then you take and you carry and you dump out into an area that is specifically designed to create this loam, this rich loam, that can be used for all kinds of really good things on your land. To bring the land, one of the problems right now that we're facing as a nation and in other countries is that, for example, the vegetables your grandparents ate, we could eat those very same vegetables, but they have about 50% or lower amount of nutrients that granddad's apple had, or that granddad's pepper had. And the reason for that is because our soil is becoming depleted from nutrients. It's just, we keep plowing up the soil and growing more things, and plowing up soil and growing more things. And so as a result, our vegetables are losing their nutrition. So we don't want that. We don't want that to continue, because if it keeps going like that, eventually, our grandchildren will be eating, just fiber, right? Nothing. They're not going to get any nutrients. Their teeth will fall out. Their hair will fall out. So what can we do? One of the things is to use rich compost. And so in mixing Humanure and your vegetable scraps and things like that, and if you get a chance to read this book, Humanure, it's hilarious. It's fun to read. It's a great read. I mean, it's interesting. It's not something you read and you go, this is a really boring book. Yeah, it's really
Thanks,
interesting.
Lori.
Yeah, it's really funny and it's interesting. And so you can use that and mix it with your regular composting scraps. A lot of people, even now in regular urban settings in their kitchens, they separate their cardboard from their glass, from their tin, from their paper, and then their food scraps are mixed separately. And so with food scraps, then you're gonna mix that with your Humanure as well, and you let it. We have separate bins. So we have a bin of stuff that's ready to go, that's already inert, that's just loamy dirt. Then we have another bin that is kind of cooking, as we call it. And then there's a third bin that's completely empty, that's ready to start. Once the middle bin is completely cooked and ready to go, then we'll start with a third bin. So it's all in the hopes that we can create a garden and also do some permaculture.
Well, have you seen anything on my tower garden? Hydroponics and aeroponics that I do.
Oh, that is awesome. I think I did see that. That is really cool. I love that. I love hydroponics and aeroponics. Yeah. And I saw where you were growing some wonderful food, it looked like.
That's it. Yeah, it's got the water at the bottom, and then the pump shoots it up to the top, hits the roof, and then it comes down onto the seedlings that you have into that tower. And you put nutrients in it. In 15 minutes, the water runs down. 15 minutes off. 15 minutes on, all day long. And then I've got the lights around it too for like 12 hours. 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And there's just so much growing right now. It's like, oh my gosh. However, I just started that HCG diet, so I'll be eating right off of it throughout the day. So you did that diet too, right?
I did do that diet, and I think I mentioned to you in a text that I've done it twice actually. Both times I lost a lot of weight. In fact, on the second time I did it, I lost 40 pounds in 40 days.
Wow.
And my son, who's a nurse practitioner, was kind of overseeing my doing it. But I just wanted to keep going on it. I was like, I'm doing great. I just want to keep going. And he was like, that's probably going to create problems in your kidneys. Huh. He was like, you can't do this diet forever. You have to get off after 40 days because you'll really start having some kidney issues. So he made me get off, and then I had rebound weight. I gained back like 60 pounds for the 40 I lost.
And how long ago was that?
That was in, I think that was like 2016.
Okay.
It was in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I was asking about those things, and I didn't get that I was going to have those effects. So let's see what happens.
Yeah,
but that's a lot of weight, man. Did it feel good?
I talked to a doctor that I really respect, and he sells HCG, but he also said, I'm really concerned if you go past 40 days.
I gotcha.
There's too many negative effects. I even have a Facebook page. It's called. It talks about HCG. It's an HCG page, but I don't do anything with it. People keep joining it, but I don't talk on there anymore because I kind of am cautious. I don't want anyone to be injured or hurt using HCG too long because it is tempting.
But you know what, though? I mean, I can't imagine you needing to go more than 40 pounds.
I do now.
Okay. We'll just change the subject. I want somebody to see another book that is coming out. Take a look at this, and you talk to this book. This is one of Lori's new books coming up.
Yes, this is Boundless, your how-to guide to practical remote viewing, phase 1. And there are 6 phases to the controlled remote viewing process, the military's process. And I'm coming out with 6 books, one for each phase. This book should be out in the next couple of months. And it's great because one of the things that used to frustrate me was that a lot of the remote viewing books that are out there, people will buy them and get excited thinking, I'm going to learn remote viewing from this book, and then they can't. Some of the books are like huge tomes that are overwhelming and tiny print and just so complex that nobody can do it. Other books just don't really get into the method. So I've been trying to create the most user-friendly, fun book that I could. And this is actually going to go along with a video course that I'm creating that people can buy and watch at their leisure, because a lot of people don't have time to come here for 3 days or even get online with me for 3 days to learn a workshop. So this way, with this book, this will become kind of the manual. We'll be breaking it up into PDFs and exercises and things. And then there will be a lot of live webinars, too, for Q&A, for people to ask questions and get some mentoring and follow-up with me with this book. This is a book that I created for my students and for professional intuitive teams, psychic teams, to teach them how to work together. If you wanted to work with a psychic or a remote viewer and help that person as they were trying to access a target or access information without leading the person, even if you didn't know anything, like let's say the target was the location of a missing child and you have no idea where the missing child is either. But you wanted to be an assistant to the viewer, kind of the way that Edgar Cayce had an assistant when he would be in his trances and doing his work. And so this, in all the years of the military, even though they frequently had monitors helping, there was never a book written about how to monitor. And my husband, Jim, has been my monitor for a number of years. And prior to that, Lynn Buchanan was my monitor for a number of years. And so I've been the beneficiary of excellent monitoring. I've also had nearly 1,000 students, so I've also been a monitor quite a bit. And so I just felt like it was something really needed. Mel Riley, who is my dear friend and was the very first remote viewer ever inducted into the military unit for remote viewing, he said, gosh, I wish we had had this. This would have been such an asset to us when we were doing the Stargate unit. So that's what I'm really excited about, because this is going to be such an asset going forward as more and more people are learning remote viewing. So.
And if you are interested in her classes, what's going on with your classes right now? I took her classes. I was in her 101, and that's where I discovered, we can do it. We can do it. We can actually do it. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And it was, you learn pretty quickly that you can do it, and then you just kind of hone in, and you learn how to really work with it and use it to your for special reasons, whatever they might be.
Yes, we have a full year now up on our calendar. And if you ever find anything wrong with the website, my website's being rebuilt as I speak. But it is, we've got the whole calendar up for the entire year of all the classes. And our classes are taught here in Mountain Air, New Mexico, in my classroom in my office, the room I'm broadcasting from right now. And because the room goes that way. It's a big room with enough chairs for a certain amount of students anyway. And then, but every class that I teach, we also broadcast and live stream. So we use Zoom, and we do it live so we can all see each other. We can all hear each other. People can ask questions. I'm able to pull up any documents or teaching aids that I'm using. I have digital copies of now, and I pull them up. And so the classes are fun, they're active, and I've been finding that the students who attend online do just as well as the students who are here in person. Then I have 4 free months of mentoring for every student who takes basic from me. And all of my classes come with a free 2-year retake policy, so that you can retake the class as often as you like. Every time I offer it, you could take it for free at no extra charge for 2 years. And if you're a member of my mentoring club, you can actually, there's no time limit. You can just retake it for free as often as you want, indefinitely. So that's a really cool way, because these classes are in depth. It's like a martial art, a real ninja skill. So people love the retake policy. I have a lot of retakers that take the classes.
And you want to, you got to refresh, you got to learn, because there's so much that goes into your head. When you're teaching it, you'll say something that's brand new to any of us, and we're soaking that in, and you're already way, paragraphs ahead of us. So when you do retake it, you catch all that stuff you didn't hear before. I mean, anytime I've ever listened to you or Lynn ever again, I'm like, I don't ever remember that. It's just so much.
True. Students say that to me all the time. They're like, I'm so glad I took the class again. I got just as much out of it the second time as I did the first time. They're just amazed. So
it's true.
It's great.
So if you're just tuning in, this is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis, and this is a Far Out Thursday. Our guest tonight, Lori Williams. She's a remote viewer, a professional remote viewer, as well as a remote viewing instructor. However, tonight we're going to talk about, and we are talking about, where she lives and what she lives in. So I'm going to show some pictures here. With that diet, it dries your mouth out, so I have trouble talking. I'm like going, you didn't tell me.
I've had my tea that Jim made for me.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. So I'm going to throw out some of these slides, and I'm going to let you talk to them. Okay. And tell us what you got. And you can just say next slide if you'd like, okay? And just see whatever it is. But I might ask you some questions, too, about it. So there we go. Here we go. There you go.
Okay, this photo is the west side of our home. We live in an EarthShip that is about 1,400 square feet. And then we have 2 other EarthShips on our 80-acre property. Each one of those is 875 square feet. This particular part of the EarthShip that we're looking at here shows the round cistern that collects water. It collects water from the roof and pours that water into the cistern. And then that black hole you see right there with a little, it has a little area that you can tell the water's been flowing out. That's for when the overflow happens. If the cistern gets full, it kind of flows out the side there, and it waters the plants in a planter below. So everything's set up as an ecosystem to feed and contribute to the planet. And so people say, that looks like a hobbit house, Lori. Those stairs go up and lead to a driveway off to the left, and our garage. So it's it's just a real, I love that little angle. I think it's kind of a lot of fun. It's a fun part of the house that is just really different from your conventional brick and stick house, as we call it. Yeah, and that hole for the overflow and the little planter below. This is the interior. This is part of the interior of the house. You can see the flagstone floors, which are made from local flagstone, natural flagstone taken from the area. EarthShips, one of the ideas behind EarthShips is to use natural materials. Now, if you see that painting in the back of the room there, behind that painting, behind that wall, the walls are filled with tires. Tires are a big problem on the planet right now, used tires, and we keep manufacturing more and more and more. We have so many vehicles on the planet, and they all use tires. 18-wheelers, every time they have to change tires, that's another 18 tires. And so tires can be very toxic. They off-gas. Usually by the time they go into an Earth ship, they've already off-gassed. A lot of people ask, do the tires, are they toxic? Do they release gases? Not by the time they're used in an Earthship. And as you can see, the tires are not visible. They're covered with adobe and then painted with plaster and white paint. So that behind that photo, there's an entire wall of earth-filled tires. They're stuffed to the gills with earth. Each tire weighs about 500 pounds. And it's just, they're placed like bricks. You know how you lay bricks. Well, they're placed like bricks, kind of in a circular pattern. So this house is the mid-90s style house with the round walls in the back. They're called U's because they're shaped like U's, like the letter U in the alphabet. And the ceilings are filled with vigas. These are local trees that they already had died and are used to create ceilings, vigas in the area. And so the woman who built this house was 60 years old when she began building. She just had a dream of wanting to live on the earth in a really gentle way. She did 90% of the work herself. This is the front of our house. As you can see, the south-facing windows catch the winter sun. And that sun will come into the windows and warm the walls in the back, heating up the tires, heating up the earth in the tires, and the tires act like batteries. So when it gets really, really cold in the winter, this is one of the coldest winters they've had in years. It's actually gotten down to 5 below zero. Then that room will actually heat up the tires, and the earth in the tires actually releases the heat they've been building up all day long as the sun is coming in the windows, and that warms up the room. So we were in a terrible snowstorm where the snow was literally up to the tops of the doors. And when it got to 5 below, we deliberately did not light a fire in the wood stove, and just to see how cold it would get in the house. And the coldest it got was 59 degrees. The hottest we've ever had it get in the summer, when it was like 110 degrees outside, unusually warm. The hottest it's gotten has been 85 degrees in the interior of the house. Now, our bedroom has never gotten warmer than 76 in the summer and never gotten cooler than 65 in the winter, even in those extreme temperatures. And my point in telling you about the temperatures is because Earthships are designed so that they're not dependent on external sources of heat or cooling. In the big cities, if you lose power through electricity or gas, the elderly die from getting too hot or too cold. We have babies died. The delicate humans among us are the ones who suffer. And these buildings are not built to keep us temperate unless they are artificially air conditioned or artificially heated. So that's a big problem. There's an interesting story. There's an interesting story about what happened in Taos. Taos is 30 minutes away from an Earthship community that has 70 homes in it. It's called the Earthship Biotexture Community, about 30 minutes outside of Taos. And in the Earthship community there, they had a funny thing happen in winter. It got to 40 below zero because they're up at close to 9,000 feet altitude. And so it was a really cold winter. It was 40 below zero. And in the town of Taos, suddenly the gas lines from Texas got cut off somehow, and there was no gas to heat the homes. So the people in Taos ran to the stores and they bought electric heaters. They plugged them all in at the same time, and it caused the electric grid to go down. So when this happened, they had no source of heating in this freezing, freezing cold. And they had to shut down all the businesses, close the schools, and bring in military Humvees to protect from looting. When this happened, it was really interesting because here there's chaos in the town, but 30 minutes away, cozy in their Earthships, these people are watching the Super Bowl on their flat screen TVs, not even aware that there was a problem only 30 minutes away. I mean, a major problem. And I love that story because it really illustrates where we're going with this. We've got to be kinder to the earth, and we have to be more independent, because as long as we're connected to the grid, as long as we're dependent on that grid, then we are easily controlled, because anyone could cut that grid off, even the Russians or the Chinese or something. I mean, I have nothing against Russians or Chinese. I'm just saying that if another country wanted to really cripple the US, if they were able to shut down the electric grid or cut off our gas, they would kill millions of Americans overnight, literally. So, I mean, a lot of Americans for example, are dependent upon having their drugs refrigerated, and these drugs are keeping them alive. And so they've estimated that literally millions of Americans would die within 48 hours if the electric grid was to go down. So it's really, really important that we think about these things, I think.
48 hours. Wow, we're in trouble if that's the case. Got a question. How much would it cost to build a similar structure?
That is a really good question. And the answer to that is varied depending on who builds it. So let's say that you want to build one. You manage to buy an acre of land and you say, I'm going to build myself an Earthship. If you build it yourself, most of the city dumps have tons of tires that they're happy to get rid of for free. A lot of times you can get access to cans and bottles that you can actually put in the walls to help use much less cement. And the Earthship Biotecture Company, which you can locate on the web at earthshipglobal.com, they have a monthly Earthship Academy. And it's great. When we were going to buy this place, I told Jim, I'm kind of scared about moving, from this 7-bedroom, 4-bathroom, 3-living-room mansion that we live in into living like the Flintstones. I was joking with him.
I was going to say it looks like the Flintstones. I think
we're going to live like the Flintstones.
Bedrock.
And and so I was like, I'm a little concerned about that. So we fear that which we don't understand, right, Connie? So I decided to
bring it on. No, I'm a blue rocker. Bring it on. I'm live streaming. Bring it on.
You are brave. You are very brave. I wanted to go and learn about Earthships. So I spent a month at the Earthship Academy, living in an Earthship and learning all the aspects of building. So
when you
attend the Earthship Academy, it's a 4-week program, 6 days a week. 3 of those days, every other day of the week, you are in a classroom and you're learning about all the different things, the electrical systems, the plumbing systems, the building systems and all these things. And then the days in between, they send you to a different Earthship each time. So that's in different stages of building. And you actually help on the building. So I was actually out there. I was cutting lumber. I was using a drill and, putting in screws and cutting metal and doing electricity and doing water. It was really, really cool. I really enjoyed it. I was the token old lady. Most of the people there.
That's nice.
Seriously, I'm 61 years old, and there were a lot of that. There were a lot of people there that were mostly in their 20s and 30s. There was even, I think, an 18-year-old attending. And I think we had one of the smallest classes they've had in a long time, and there were 36 people, and over half of them were from other countries. And there were Americans, but there were like maybe 10 or 15 Americans, and the rest were from countries all over the world, the Middle East, Africa. There were people from all over Europe. And so it was really exciting to work with these young people, and they treated me just like one of them. They didn't treat me like the token old lady, which was nice. But it was so much fun. I really enjoyed myself. It was an awesome experience, and I learned a ton. And the teachers there are wonderful teachers. They all start out by saying, "Listen, I want you to know I'm not a teacher, I'm an electrician," or "I'm not a teacher, I'm a plumber." But they were all amazing teachers, and they taught us very, very well. They were concerned about safety, and they were also very meticulous in making sure they instructed us well. And so we enjoyed it so much, and I highly recommend it. I also want to mention that EarthShip Biotecture is also very charitable. They go into areas that have been destroyed by earthquakes and hurricanes, Haiti, Puerto Rico, all over the world, and they teach the locals how to build simple earthships that are called the simple survival earthships. And they sound very simple, but they collect water, they can grow food from it, and they have their own flushing toilets and running showers and drinking water, purifying drinking water. As we know, water being polluted after a disaster is a huge reason that a lot of people die after a disaster. And so by them doing this and showing them how to build these beautiful homes that can collect their own water, they can build them almost for free by just collecting the garbage locally. Then they're able to make these amazing houses, and you can get a really great app that will teach you how to build a simple survival, give you everything you need to know how to build it. It's an app called the Simple Survival app, and it's from EarthShip Biotecture, and you can just get it from your app store.
Now, I don't think you're like getting any money for these Earth ships, are you? If you sold one, if
Mm.
someone wanted one?
Me personally, no,
Yeah.
no,
So
I don't get
that's
anything from it.
Yeah, and that's the point I wanted to make to Blue Rocker. She just loves it. She's just passionate about it.
Yeah,
She's
I
selling the
really
heck
am.
out of it, but
Yeah.
she's just
In
passionate
fact,
about it.
Earthship Biotecture doesn't know I'm on the radio right now with you. They don't know that I'm talking about them. It's no, I'm not getting anything out of it. I just really am passionate, and I admire the company for what they're doing worldwide. I think it's an answer. I think if every human being on the planet were given an acre of land and were able to build their own Earthship and live independently, it would just solve so many of the Earth's pollution problems and overconsumption problems.
Hey,
Yeah.
a lot of Blue Rockers are preppers, and that's for sure. They would like that. So, one of the questions is besides income, mobiles in the house, and he says we should all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Um, he's got great lines when he's in here. Let's see. So, hey there, Anita, Blue Rocker. Brad asked, "Do you have plans and instructions to replicate this type of home?"
That, as I mentioned,
The app.
you can get the app, and they keep adding to the app. So the app costs you $10, but they keep adding to it and putting floor plans and blueprints. They're also very generous. If you go visit them and take a tour, and that's right outside of Taos, about 30 minutes. It's called Earthship Biotecture. Again, you can look it up online at earthshipglobal.com, and it's awesome. You'll be very impressed. And uh, Michael Reynolds looks kind of like a mad professor. He's got really wild white hair and a
Oh,
beard and a
okay.
mustache.
I know those.
He looks a little bit like a cult leader, but don't think he's a cult leader.
He's a cult
Oh,
leader.
yeah,
He's a
he's
cult leader.
he's a little bit wild, but he's eccentric, but he's a genius. Like so many geniuses, he comes off as a little eccentric. But I mean, these homes are amazing. They really are, and they do protect you from the elements. You can see here's a photo of our fireplace. This was right when we first were moving in, so there's no paintings on the walls or cushions on the. I mean, there's no fancy, pretty things up. We were just still getting moved in, but we did light a fire in the fireplace, and you can see it's a gorgeous fireplace. There's the woman who built this did such a beautiful job with the design. She did at least 90% of the work on this house by herself without help. She did get some help. A lot of women moved to the area after she did, and they first moved there because they thought she was going crazy. And then when they saw what she was doing, they were amazed by it, and they ended up buying land nearby and building their own Earthships. And so she influenced a lot of people. This is one of the guest houses, this photo. And this area is famous for its sunflowers. They even have a thing called the Sunflower Festival every every August. And all these artisans come and sell their homemade art and beautiful, useful things like wooden screwdrivers with gorgeous handles that makes you never want to use it because it's so pretty. And paintings and diaries and journals and pens and just all kinds of things. This is a photo of right outside our bedroom door, actually. There's a hallway outside our bedroom door, and of course everything's lined with south-facing windows and filled with planters and plants growing. And of course, we could always also right there. We could also use food. We could grow food there. This is the photos you're seeing right there. The one that's the furthest away is filled with herbs, and then there's the cactus, and then there's just some pretty house plants. But we could always use that. Now, this is another guest house. So we have two guest houses. This is the one that's in between the one you just saw a minute ago with the sunflowers and our house. So this is the middle house. One of my friends said we should call them, what did she call them? Moon pods. Yes, that we should call these moon pods. My sister wrote me an email today and said, that looks like it has a spaceship above it. And I said, oh, well, that's the house you're going to be staying in when you come to visit in September. And she laughed and she said, for a minute, when I read that, I thought you were saying I was going to be staying in the spaceship. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is my friend Orc. He says, come up into my spaceship. You won't feel a thing. But anyway, so this is right outside our bedroom as well. You can see the same planter you were just looking at a minute ago. Notice the bucket, Connie. Do you see that white bucket? The white bucket catches the water from the bathroom, which is on the other side of that purple wall. So that's the water from the sink in the bathroom. So it captures that water, and then we can take that water and we can use it to water the plants in the planter. We can take it outside and water a tree that might look a little dry or whatever. And so that's what that's for. We capture one-time use water in buckets so that we can then take it and water plants with it. And that way we're using the water twice. So we're in the desert. Right now we're actually getting tons of water, much more than they've seen here in years. But for the times when there's droughts and maybe we might get 7 to 14 inches a year, we want to be sure and capture the water and make the most use of it rather than just flushing it away down into a sewer and wasting it after just one use.
Well, if you guys just now joining us, this is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis on a Far Out Thursday, talking about a far out home for sure. This is where Lori Williams, who you're looking at right now, is living. Her and her husband Jim, and two guest houses, right?
Right. We have two guest houses.
So, what is like the price of something like this?
When EarthShip Biotexture, if they were to build you their top EarthShip, like the best of the best, and they did it all for you, and you just paid them, and you didn't get involved at all, it actually costs about $200 a square foot. It's very expensive to have them build it for you. It's very labor intensive, and so and the homes now actually have air conditioning. But let me tell you how the air conditioning works. They're very cool because they're totally off grid, and they build them now in a rectangular way, whereas our homes are built in a U, like the letter U. They have round walls. But the way they build them now is when they build the berm up behind the house, they put the cisterns inside the berm, so you don't see those big round things that we have. So these houses look more like conventional homes. They're rectangular, but they have glass in the front, and then they have a berm that goes up the back that's hiding the cisterns. That the water's captured and then feeds into these big plastic cisterns that are built into and then they also have these amazing tubes. They're called vent tubes, and they're round tubes that are about, I guess, 9 to 12 inches in diameter, long tubes that go through the berm into the house. They have screens on each end and then doors on each end. So in the winter, they can be all sealed up, but in the summer, you can open them and the screens keep out bugs and dirt and things. But what happens is when it gets really hot in the summer, they now have double glass in the front. And that double glass builds a lot of heat up and kind of acts as a buffer to keep the rest of the house cool. And when that heat builds up, you can open those vent tubes and open windows into that hot part and open the windows in the top. And it creates a circular convection that's pulling the cold air in through the earth at 65 degrees, brings it into the house and pushes the hot air up out through those windows in those double hallways. And it creates this circle of cool air going through the house. And it keeps those houses, no matter, even if it's when it's 110 degrees out in the desert outside of Taos, those homes are 73 degrees. And that's the hottest they get in the summertime. even with no kind of powered air conditioning, all natural air conditioning, which I think is amazing, just through physics.
Well, it'll be fun to come visit you at one point. Now, I knew you were doing what you were doing, and I know some other people that were hoping to do something kind of similar in some other ways. Well, recently, I kind of ran into something, and I thought it was cool, and I wanted to show you pictures of it. See if you've heard anything about these. See if I can just show it with our voices here. Okay, take a look at this. These are called compass homes.
Oh, aren't they gorgeous?
Have you seen them?
I have seen those.
Oh my gosh, I want a compass home.
That mountain behind that house looks a lot like our backyard because we have the mountains behind our house too.
Oh.
And so these compass homes are actually put together from like prefab little kind of
like that PCV pipe stuff.
Yeah. And there's a lot of homes right now that are coming out. People are really getting into this movement. I'm a member on some Facebook groups that are like homesteading Facebook groups, and I'm amazed they have 400,000 members on Facebook.
I love them. I think these are cool. I mean, because I just think they're cool. You don't always need all this stuff and all this space. Now, I may want different plumbing than what you've got, but it's I guess to each his own. But
the new homes outside of Taos, I want to say they have flushing toilets and regular septic systems. But what they do is they have the coolest setup where the water gets used 4 times, because when it comes through the first time, it goes through a special filtration that waters all the plants automatically that are run along the planters in the front of the house. And now they have like greenhouses in the front of the house, and it waters them all automatically. And then that water gets filtered and goes and flushes the toilets. And then that water goes into a special leach field that then waters plants outside. They're non-edible plants. They're just plants that are beneficial to butterflies and bees and things like that. So it's a very eco-friendly thing, using the water 4 times in the desert, which is amazing.
Take a look at this. It's on a golf course.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Isn't that something? And
I wonder if the tops of the houses ever get bonked by golf clubs. I mean, by golf balls.
Yeah. Oh, I got. There's. I guess you have to drop it at that point. That'd be a penalty of some sort. But but you know what? You have to. I would think you'd have to cut the grass up on the roof. You'd have to.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Now, is that a sketch or is that a real photograph?
I think that's an actual picture that painted, I guess. I mean, that's what it looks like. But I
like
think
the hot tub.
I know it.
You know what we're putting? We have a hot tub. We bought a hot tub, and we're going to be putting it up right where we can just sit there and look at the mountains, because we're nestled right at the foot of these gorgeous mountains.
So
we have a beautiful view of the mountains.
Oh, that's so cool. Now I want you to see this picture. Tell me, it's almost like a Where's Waldo. You're right in nature. Do you see it down at the left?
I love it.
Isn't that awesome?
It is. It's really beautiful. Those houses, now you call them compass houses. They're also known as earth berm houses because they're kind of built into the berm, or they put the berm around them. I'm not sure which. But
when I looked into it originally, the guy that started it and created it, I don't remember his name, but he's in some other country, and this is compass, which is made from the guy that created this. That's kind of the group in the U.S. that builds it, is Compass. But the original guy of it is under another name. And, if you had a company that wanted to make them and start manufacturing them, then, it would be under, Williams Creations or something. So that's where the Compass name is out of the U.S., who manufactures it in the U.S. I wanted to interview them, actually, and I tried to get a hold of each one of them. And I think they just thought I was I was going to put them on Coast. I wanted to talk to them about being on Coast. I don't think they looked far enough into me. I thought they thought, maybe, who is this woman? She talks about UFOs and aliens. We don't want to talk to her. You know what I mean? And it's like, wait a minute. Your world, the best audience you guys have are people that are preppers and are into having open minds to things like this. But
that's one of the problems that happens if you judge too easily and too quickly.
Yeah,
people miss out on a lot when they are too quick to judge and assume and put labels on things. That's why I love remote viewing, because it teaches you not to label everything and not to make assumptions. Have you heard of the Dome Gaia homes?
No.
Dome Gaia they look similar to this, but they're complete. They're like domes, and they use a thing called aircrete. So they save on concrete because they have a machine that blows air into the concrete and makes it porous, but it's really strong. And they have classes where they will teach you how to build these aircrete homes, and they go up quickly, and they're really strong, and they're beautiful. I don't know how thermal they are, like how they protect you against cold and hot. I would think that these homes would hopefully. Now it looks like there's windows in the back of these.
Take a look at that. That's in the winter. Look at that.
Wow, that is gorgeous.
That's
I
a
wonder,
real one.
I wonder what the temperature's like inside in the winter.
You know, what I did read about them, I fell in love. I want one of these. You know, you were talking about that one paranormal land that is for sale for a ridiculous amount. I just thought it'd be cool if there were about 3 or 4 or 5 of these, and each, of us little researchers and groupie kind of people, get to live on it and then go out there and research that little paranormal world land. I thought that'd be so cool. Now here's that same picture, I believe, or at least close to. Yeah, this is it, same one. There it is in the winter as you see it, and there it is in the summer.
How beautiful!
Isn't that? I mean, now yours looks this looks extremely roomy, and yours does too.
Yeah, our living dining area is very roomy. It's pleasant. It's interesting because the house we were in 5,000 square feet in Amarillo in our training center that had all the bedrooms and bathrooms, and we've downsized to where we're living in this 1,400 square foot home, but we're not even using all the 1,400 square feet because one of the rooms on the west end of the house is just really storage. We're not, we could turn it into a bedroom or something nice, but right now we just are using it for storage, and we don't really miss the space at all. It's just Jim and I, and we've got this beautiful living, dining, kitchen area, and then we've got our bedroom, which has a really cozy meditation cove with recliners in it that we can sit there and meditate or read or whatever in these beautiful recliners. And then we have a huge closet in the bedroom, in our bedroom, big walk-in closet.
Well, I think it's all really cool. And I would be totally open to moving into something like this for sure.
That is gorgeous. If we all were willing to live simply, a little simpler and a little more authentic, on the land, then I think that our grandchildren's grandchildren might have a chance of surviving into the future. But the way we're going, things look a little grim. I mean, we're using up all of our natural resources, and everyone's constant consuming, and I include myself in this. The tendency we have to just buy and buy and buy. We go to Costco, we buy so much stuff. And whenever I buy something at Costco and I'm cutting off the packaging and throwing it away, I realize, I'm just one person and I'm throwing all this packaging away. Or at Christmas, we have 9 kids, 20 grandkids. We just had Christmas with everybody a couple months ago. And it's just like, oh my gosh, when everybody's done with presents and stuff, there is so much trash. And where is all that trash going? So that's the thing, is that we can't, when you multiply our one family and you multiply that by the 7.5 billion people on the planet, what are we doing to the planet?
First of all, you need to tell your family to quit having so much fun together.
That's for sure.
What they're doing is causing
a lot of us are
talking
about like stopping all the gifts and not having gifts anymore. Of course, we have a lot of little kids, and little kids, want something for Christmas. But we're talking about how we could really simplify and do something a lot more fun and constructive for Christmas. The thing too, the adults don't usually give each other gifts. We have one fun gift game where everybody just gives one gift. But
I think that's okay to give gifts. I mean, quit telling them to, be in the bedroom so often and having more kids. There's too many people.
Well,
that's a lot of grandkids.
If you think about it, though, nine children with 20 grandkids, wow. That's only a little over 2 kids per person.
Well, that's illegal in China, isn't it? That's overpopulation in China.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I think the gifts are cool and all that kind of stuff. It's just, yeah, we do need to learn to what we're doing, and that's great. That if we can take the trash and put it into something else, that's great. A lot of it is we have a lot of lazy people. I don't like seeing all the straws out there, and I don't like what goes on where people don't care about anything into the water and they just throw things. I hate when people just litter. You know, if we can do what we are beginning to do with all the litter and creating homes and creating playgrounds with the tires, I've been seeing that for a long time actually with the tires in the playground.
Yeah, they've stopped. They've stopped doing that though because they found that the tires are carcinogenic, so they can't use shredded tires for playgrounds anymore.
That's right. I was surprised they were doing so. I saw at one point where it was kind of embedded in as whole. It was one piece, and I think they did something to that to protect what you're talking about. But a long time ago, they just had the little pieces of tire. To me, I thought, is some kid's going to go, hey, everything.
Exactly.
What are you thinking?
Exactly. That wasn't a good idea.
That wasn't a good idea.
But nowadays, I've seen where they're creating like walkways in some of the federal parks and things where I think they use tires, but then they coat it with something so that, it's not toxic and nobody's breathing in anything.
And all that stuff is cool. I hate when I see all this junk mail sent in the mail to me. I just think, why are you just send it to me electronically? Let me have a little control here. Don't, I just think about trees because I love trees, and they don't need to send out all this junk mail in the mail, and people don't need to do menus or anything like that anymore. They can just go online and get everything that you need. Everything can be digital. You don't need that stuff. However, when it comes to the rest of the planet and things like that, I'm not concerned about us killing the planet. I think we need to address those problems that you're talking about. But I think Mother Nature, when it gets mad enough, it'll just take us over and
I was thinking about that. I think so too. I was just thinking about that the other day. I write in my journal every morning. I meditate and write in my journal. And I was writing my journal right after meditation. And one of the things that came to me is how, Connie, you've taken my courses. We teach that the body is the link between conscious and subconscious mind, right? Yeah. And I started thinking, if you were to think about the planet as analogous to a human body, then the planet would be a link. And maybe the planet, like right now, for example, if I were to get really upset, I might break out in hives. Or I might throw up or get a headache or whatever. You know how our bodies react to our emotions? I think the planet reacts. Maybe the planet's having hot flashes and cold flashes and pimples in this form of volcanic eruptions.
Hormone therapy.
Yeah, exactly. Having all these different things. We have pimples. The planet has volcanic eruptions. And so I was thinking how, like you said, the planet's probably going to be fine. It's going to eventually shake off the fleas or get rid of the parasites. Yeah. And we are the fleas and the parasites, unfortunately.
Yeah, I really think it'll take care of itself, and that's a whole nother political issue that people get into. But I think it's just
unfortunately we might go extinct. And I have to share something.
We deserve it.
I was, I was a fundamentalist Christian for many years. From the time I was 14 till I was, for a long, long time, really fundamental, Bible, straightforward, fundamentalist Christian. My belief system has amplified through remote viewing because I've come to understand that God is love, just like Jesus said, but in a much more universal way. I mean, that consciousness and the universe, that there's a lot more to it than I realized. And so when I started realizing all this, one thing that came to me is how, as you said, it's all going to take care of itself. But when I saw that, when I was very much into my fundamentalism and I saw the very first Hubble telescope photo, the nebula.
Isn't that something?
It was so gorgeous and it was breathtaking. Sorry. But at the same token, I found myself feeling deeply disturbed. And I wondered, why do I feel disturbed by something so beautiful, so natural? And I realized that it made me aware of my own insignificance. I realized that nebula that looks like a beautiful cloud is actually full of billions and billions and trillions of stars, each one probably much bigger than our sun in our galaxy. And that if there are planets around those stars, they're microscopic, and that our Earth would be probably smaller than microscopic, in that big nebula. And therefore, humans on our Earth we're like submicroscopic, subatomic almost in the big scheme of things. And that made me realize that we fight here on the earth with the drama and the politics and all the stuff, but in reality, we're really very, our significance, our own
Doesn't
importance.
matter. It doesn't matter. That's why I stay away from that. I avoid it. It's much bigger when people, and that's what I believe about everything that's on Blue Rock Talk is, it's all bigger than that gossipy stuff. It's all bigger than just people talk. It's if we all get into this kind of stuff and not all this little babbly, junky stuff that, like you said, doesn't matter. It expands our mind, and everything that I've been a part of makes God bigger. The remote viewing, like I said, when I first did it, when you first taught me, and I realized I saw that in my mind. I saw what was in that envelope hidden away that I picked anonymously, and I saw it on my head and then saw it later. I went, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And you know that you know it. It just broadens everything. When I've seen lights in the sky or Bigfoot stuff, anything else like that where people go, oh, you're devil worshiping, no, well, it makes God bigger, makes the universe bigger,
it's true.
Makes everything, and you can't put it into words, can you? We don't have words to describe it.
The first time I ever got assigned a target that asked me to look at a mystery involving a UFO, I had no idea what it was. I wasn't told I was going to be looking at that. But when I did the remote viewing, I was running into something that I had never seen before. And up until that point in my life, I really just kind of wrapped any UFO stuff in a little bundle of faith and put it away on a shelf where I didn't have to look at it. And so I remember calling my mentor, Lynn Buchanan, and saying, Lynn, this target is kind of pushing the boundaries of my belief system. And Lynn laughed and he said, yeah, remote viewing will do that. And Lynn he was raised as a Baptist. He was a Methodist minister.
Lutheran, wasn't it?
No, it was Methodist.
Oh.
And he said, Lori, think about it this way. If God is the God of this planet, why can't he be the God of the entire universe and all the species that live within it? Why do you want to limit God to this planet and this one little, our human selves? Like we think we're so important. We're the only species in the universe and that our God is so small that he only governs us and nothing else. No, God is really big. And that's what happened. It blew my God box wide open. And now God is much, much bigger than I conceived of. And I think he's more loving than I originally thought of,
I think that's the only thing that's real is love. That's the only thing. Everything else is fabricated.
It is so true. True. And I believe too that, now that we've done so many sessions on some pretty esoteric things, I've come to realize that love is a power, like it's a force like gravity. And it is the only constant in every universe, in every, like if there's parallel universes, it's the only constant in every universe and every dimension. Truly.
And I don't know, and it might go against what you just said, but I believe what you just said. So I'm not sure how that would work, but I think things are more complex than we even know sometimes too, of course. But I think I am a believer of Dr. David Jacobs' alien abduction and the hybridization project. I'm a believer of his. Do you know that? And Bud Hopkins?
I'm not familiar with that.
You remember Bud Hopkins?
I don't think so.
No. Oh, you have to get those books, woman. You'll love them. You'll love them. It's all about, he had regressed a whole bunch of abductees and had, like 30, 40 years of all this information chronological as they went through the project and all the different things that happened to them through the years. So anyway, the way they spoke about creating hybrids and hybrids, the way they spoke about it, when people would be on the ships and they would be shown a baby and they believed that child was theirs, but it was also alien-like, right?
Yes.
The aliens would show it to them and they would want them to touch it and to nurture it. And I think that they did that because I don't think they have love. And I think that was something they were missing. I think from everything he described about that, it seemed as though they wanted the parent of that child, the human, to touch it, hug it, hold it. And I think that's why. That's just what I think. And then they'd put it back into some sort of incubator type thing. So I don't think they had love. Don't know.
That would be interesting. I can't imagine any species surviving without love. It's kind of like gravity. You think about gravity as a force. Sometimes, how sometimes people say, well, the universe let this happen to you because you did what, XYZ, or God punished you or whatever. I no longer believe that, and I'll tell you why. If you were to jump off a building, you would die. Right? If you were to jump off a tall building.
I don't know. Spider-Man swings by once in a while.
And it's not because gravity hates you, right? It's just because gravity is, and you didn't necessarily interact with gravity in a way that would have protected you. So if you jump off a building, you die, not because gravity hates you, but because gravity is. And I think it's the same thing. I think love is a force that just exists, and some people partake of it and others don't. Just like some people ignore it and some people use it. And I think if you ignore gravity and you jump off a building, you're going to have those consequences. If you ignore love, then you're going to have consequences as well.
Right. That's exactly right. It's very true. People will put up their walls to it and just hide from it. And you're like, just let all your walls down, surrender to whatever it is. And enjoy it because it's there and it's knocking at your door. So
it's so true.
Enjoy it, relax. But there's a lot of people, a lot of movies, a lot of shows, a lot of books that you read, and love is so hurtful. But that's only from the bad guys doing it to you, the people doing it wrong. The real deal will bring you gifts and wonderful, wonderful things.
That's so true.
Yeah. So Anita in here, I'm just in the process of learning how much more there is to everything. Anita needs to take one of your classes, or start from the beginning and start taking your class. She's incredible.
Anita, we'd love to have you in our class. You could sign up at intuitivespecialist.com if you like.
Yeah, this is Anita, who I was telling you about. Lori Williams, the remote viewer, professional remote viewer, and also instructor. She's saying love transcends everything for sure. Wow, this conversation is timely.
It is. And for those who may feel like the classes are too expensive, just know that we do offer affordable payment plans as well, monthly payment plans that you can get on and things like that. So we try to make it where anybody could take it. Try
to make it where anybody can take it.
That's right. We try to make it where anybody can take it.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's our slogan. Make it when anybody can take it.
I like it. Let's see here. People have put God in a box. You just cannot do that. When you define God, you confined God. These are great. These are all good titles to books and stuff here, isn't that? That's love transcends everything for sure. Okay, we got that. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. So there we go. Okay.
That's great. No, yeah. I wonder, do we need to ask for questions?
Is there any more questions or anything? Because I've been kind of asking you along the way, so I don't know. Now we got into the love thing and God, and so and Income stopped on me. He was just getting a little crazy. I was like, stop, Income. Income has great conversation all the time, but
who's in? Oh, so Income
Mobile. He's a blue rocker for sure, but sometimes I say, hey. But a good blue rocker, consistent there. Does Lori draw? Oh, that's right. I knew there was something up there. Dr. Mulder.
I do not drive an electric car. Sorry. I would love to. We bought, I guess the last car we bought was 5 years ago. We bought a very economic car. We have a Mazda CX-5. We have a Jeep 4-wheel drive, which we have to have for where we live because we live on a really, really bad road that goes on for miles and miles off into the middle of nowhere. And then also we have
love each other.
We do. We desperately love each other. We also have a truck, a little truck. It's not a big truck. It's just a little gas truck that we use for carting stuff around on the 80 acres. But anyway, yes, we do. We were stuck in the house together for 6 days during the big snowstorm, and we just really had a good time. We did puzzles, and we snuggled, and we made food, and we built fires, and just it was really a really nice time. We enjoyed it like a little mini vacation in a cabin.
And they were naked the whole time. And
Yeah.
I don't want to know anymore. I don't want to know anymore. I do have friends that are nudists. And I'm like, oh, okay, wait a minute. I was at your house and I was sitting on the sofa, laying in the bed. Hey, hello. Wait a minute. Why didn't you tell me this? Carrying my own towel around. Oh, I thought about that later. I was like, okay. We're clean. I know it. And I love you guys, but there's some things not to be said. So, I'm sorry, I shouldn't even go there. So you have 80 acres. Are you going to build some more?
No, the area we're in allows one home per 20 acres. We already have 3, and then there's a 4th one that was the wall, the tire walls are there, and they're just like out in the open, and that's as far as they got before they ended up selling the place to us. So there's a partial home there. We could finish that home, and we've talked about all the things we could do with it. We could turn it into, for example, kind of a thermal garage that we could park. We could build a driveway to it and park vehicles in it, or park our equipment there, like tractors and things. And that way they would stay warm in the winter and be cooler in the summer. That's one thing we thought about. Or what the EarthShip biotexture people suggested that we do with it. They said you should build a home for aging out on the property, because a lot of people my age. I'm 61. Jim is 67. Okay. Yeah, Jim is 67. And so one of the issues, the woman who built the property started in the early 90s, and she was turning 60 at the time. She eventually moved when she was in her 80s, early 80s. She's still alive. She lives in Fort Collins. And but she was in her 80s, and she was living there alone. And she fell off a stool and broke her hip. Aww. And she recovered from that and kept living there. And then she ended up having an appendicitis, and she got her appendix ruptured. Imagine living alone in a really remote place and having your appendix rupture. Thankfully, New Mexico has a helicopter service, helicopter ambulance service that you can sign up for. It's only $50 a month, $50 a year for the entire household.
Oh, that's a good idea.
If you have insurance, and it's $100 a year if you don't have insurance. And so the helicopters come and airlift people out of these remote areas and take them to the hospital. But nevertheless, her children after that, her adult children, refused to let her go back and live out there alone. They were afraid of that for her. She's still alive. She's still going strong. And she and I talk frequently. We have delightful conversations. She's an amazing woman. But we've thought about it. We're like, okay, can we age out here? And if one of us dies and the other one's alone out here, how's that going to be? And I like addressing this because I don't know about your listeners, but I do know that a lot of people contact me and they're like, well, we're older. We love the idea of going off grid, but we're wondering, how do older folks live off grid?
Yeah.
Especially if you're hauling 5-gallon buckets around, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we've actually we're already learning how to get around certain things. Like, for example, I cannot lift a 5-gallon bucket of water. It's too hard for me. So what I do is I don't wait for the gallon to fill up. I wait till it's about maybe a third full, and then I empty it. Right. And we're very conservative with water. We don't waste water. But, I don't. And then when, let's say that the bucket's filled up, like when I take a shower, I might use half a bucket. And if Jim takes a shower after me, or vice versa, we fill up the bucket. There's 5 gallons of water in the bucket. Each gallon of water weighs 8 or 9 pounds. I think it's 8 pounds. So you got 8 times 5. That's a 40-pound bucket now. So rather than lift that 40-pound bucket, I cut the top of a water jug, like a 1-gallon water jug. I cut it off, and I grab the handle, and I have another bucket, and I just scoop the water. And I scoop a couple of gallons and I go empty it. And then I've just got 3 gallons left or 2 gallons left, and I go empty it. So that way it kind of breaks it up, and I can go, and it makes me feel good. I used to think when I first was going to move there, I was like, I'm going to hate hauling buckets around. I don't like that. But then when I got there and I started watering the plants, and I had my own plants that I was watering, I actually started loving it. It became a beautiful part of my day. We have the most amazing, breathtaking sunrises and sunsets. So to go out right at that gorgeous time of the day and be giving water to plants just feels really good. I can't explain it, but it's very zen, and it does cause you to feel like you're more connected to the earth and living a more authentic existence than just being constantly in front of my phone.
It's so good you feel that way then, because you are there. There's no way out now.
Exactly. Well, and then we also talk about, like, okay, so what about tramping around on these 80 acres as you age. I mean, you could fall, you could
Yeah,
break something.
sure.
And so what they suggested to us was that we take that place that's partially built and we make it this beautiful place with like very, very smooth floors that are like even wheelchair friendly, big doorways, showers that you can just roll into if you were in a wheelchair, and that the whole area around the outside of the house also be very smooth and very easy to maneuver, so that it was literally built. They joked and said, make that Jim calls it the Gizatorium. Make that the place for
Jim.
aging out, like an old folks home on your property, so that you have a very comfortable home to live in as you age. And that would be comfortable for you and easy to maneuver in if you were in a wheelchair. Wow. And I thought, that's, I have
if
to
you're
tell
still
you,
able to move yourself.
Well, yeah, you'd probably have to have a jazzy, as they call them.
Yeah.
A jazzy
the electric
gym.
one?
Yeah, the electric wheelchairs. I mean, rather than pushing yourself around with them.
But aren't you, at one point you might have trouble being off the grid and getting that. I don't know. I just, taking care of mom so much, I can't imagine.
I know my mom is 88, and she's going to be 89 this year, and we visit her pretty frequently. She lives in Tennessee. She's from California, but she lives in Tennessee, and we visit her frequently, and she's still going strong. She's amazingly healthy. She's about as big as my as my finger. She's super tiny.
I've seen those pictures.
Yeah, she's very, very. I could probably lift her up, just like this. She's very small, but she is so vital. She's got a lot of vitality and a lot of flexibility. I would be so lucky to be as healthy as she is when I get to be that age.
Oh, you will be. There's no question you will be. So if you're just now joining us, Blue Rockers, this is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. Lori Williams here. You've seen her before on our Bafflers here on Blue Rock Talk on a Far Out Thursday here with, we've done Bafflers with her, and today she's talking about EarthShips. She's a controlled remote viewer instructor as well as a professional controlled remote viewer. And I've had her on Coast to Coast as well, but she's always fun, a good friend, and it's fun to have her on. She is not selling these to where she makes money. She's just very passionate about the EarthShips. And I also like what I was showing you too, the Compass homes. I just think they're really cool. I agree. I would love to do something like that. I don't know if I want to go as far off the grid as you, but I want to go visit,
one extreme
and then
to
I'll
another.
know.
We really did.
Yeah,
we jumped from the frying pan into the fire in a way, but
you did. But you were in an RV before, right? So I mean, that's kind of similar, right?
We've never lived in an RV. We had a bus and we stayed in it 4 months. When we were teaching all over the U.S., but it was it was like it had a start time and an end time. We weren't going to live there indefinitely.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, when we pulled up in front of our house, we were living, in the city, and we pulled up in front of our house after those 4 months on the road, and we looked at each other, and neither one of us wanted to get off the bus. And Jim said, there is nothing in that house I need, and I said, there's nothing in that house I need, and we would have gladly driven away and never looked back. But we did have responsibilities, and we had a mortgage, and we couldn't just drive away and ignore everything. We both, so
you could have. We could have.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, I know. I look back now and go, "Gee, that would have been a good way to go." I would move into an RV in a heartbeat and live in it. That's always been a dream of mine, to live on the road in an RV. We have an RV. We have a beautiful RV. We went from the bus now, and we have a small RV that has a full wall slide out. And it has 2 queen beds in it. It's only 25 feet long, but it's a beautiful RV, and we're excited to go traveling in it. We want to go traveling in it this summer and go visit, family, and take a vacation and go visit family if we can. We'd love to. Our business keeps us very, very busy, and our students keep us really busy. We're very dedicated to our students. And I say our students because even though they're my students, Jim is such a huge part of my life, and he supports me so much that I could not do what I do without Jim.
Yes.
And so he's the love of my life. He really is. And I'm so grateful for him. I really am. He's here right now, staying up late and supporting me here in the room, just sitting here, just waiting for me to finish waiting to take me home.
He's so kind. He's so wonderful. And speaking of, by the way, we'll be doing a Baffler with Lori here. What is the date of that, Lori? Do you remember?
February 7th.
Okay. And when she does the Baffler, that's where I give her, some sort of interesting target of some sort. and she will give us back the answers as a remote viewer, and she's 87% correct with her feedback. So, we'll learn some things that maybe we don't know if we'll ever know, but this way we will. And in between myself and Lori is a monitor, and that monitor is Jim. So he helps in that, and it's cool. And if you want to go back and see the old Bafflers, you should check them out because they're mind-blowing. When people actually go and look at them and listen to them, Lori, they still freak out. They still freak out.
Oh, I have to tell you something. The other day, I had a bunch of people online, and someone said the first time I ever heard of you, Lori, was on Coast to Coast with Connie Willis.
Yay!
And you were doing a baffler, and you were doing. She gave you 3 blind targets, and you viewed them, and then she revealed them to you online. I mean, on the radio. And she said, and my sister and I were on a long trip, and we were listening to the whole show because that was a 4-hour show, and I was on for the whole 4 hours. And she said that was the best Coast to Coast we ever heard. She said we've always listened to remote viewers, and she said we've always been interested in remote viewing, and we've listened to all the interviews with all the different military guys. And she said, but both of us looked at each other and we were like, we want to learn from that lady. And she said, and that was the best Coast to Coast show that Coast to Coast has ever had. And that encouraged me so much. And I thought I've got to remember to tell Connie that. Because Connie's going to be happy to hear that.
That is. Yeah. Write in to the people of Coast. Write in. Tell them to write in. I just had always been wanting to do that. And I know you remember that from years before when we were doing all the different
It was
classes.
Such a great idea. And I was like, she's so brave to pitch that to the Coast to Coast.
Well, I tried to do a TV show of it. I tried, but then, Coast was great. Do your thing, do your show, be you. And so we got to do it. It was Mount Shasta, what was underneath Mount Shasta. It was the pineal gland and a Bigfoot picture. And so she went into all sorts of great things about Bigfoot. Like I said, you can go in the archives here on Blue Rock Talk. And, I launched it on Coast, but we went back over it here on Blue Rock Talk because I wanted to hit the most people of all and just like blow their minds. And we did. We did. And I knew we would. So the Bigfoot thing, very interesting about glyphs, what you think of glyphs and all these structures and things like that. And I encourage people to go and look at it. The pineal gland blew me away. Most people were into the Bigfoot thing, and me too. But the pineal gland, to me, you were like, it's kind of like this antenna in the world. And I'm thinking, holy cow, somebody somewhere can track us all down because of our own natural antenna. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking this is a big deal. And I wanted to go into that deeper. And then it was funny because when we were doing what's underneath Mount Shasta, that's where Jim, as the monitor at the time, was like, no, we don't want to go there. It's getting scary. It's getting scary on us. And I was like, no, you got to go there. And you had said, no, let's go there. It was great. It was so intense behind the scenes that no one even knew about that kind of stuff. It was a blast. It was truly a blast.
I told him, I think I'm getting a little scared of whatever this target is.
That was you? I thought he was getting scared.
This is making me a little nervous. I remember, And
I was like, but I remember what Lynn Buchanan had said. He said, that's what's great about remote viewing. You can go into these scary areas and you're safe. So
yes.
I was like, come on, man. And so you pulled it out. She was a team player. She did it. It was great. I mean, the things you saw underneath Mount Shasta.
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience. All 3 of those targets were really great targets. I enjoyed them. And that's why, people ask me to do targets all the time. And I do targets that I really feel that I need to do to help, in some situation or something that I feel is going to really further the whole study of consciousness. And with you, I do them because you always choose something fun to do. And so it makes it fun for me. And that Sasquatch target changed my life. I mean, it had a lot of repercussions afterwards, as you know the whole story. But also it really, I had never thought about Sasquatch or Bigfoot ever. Yeah. And so that whole experience, when I finished the session, I thought, oh man, either I'm losing a marble or this, I'm
gaining
so crazy. Yeah, I thought I said, how am I even going to share this? This sounds insane. And then I found out after talking to you, oh, this is what everybody
You're right
knows.
On target.
And then I've talked to some Native Americans who said, oh, in our culture, everyone knows that Sasquatch is a time traveler. And I was like, really? Here I thought I'd come up with this revolutionary thing that no one had ever heard before. And then it turns out, no, that's old news. Tell us something we don't know.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
You didn't give us some new news here.
Exactly.
No, yeah, well, it was interesting because the way you spoke about the time travel to me made a whole lot of sense with when people give gifts and then the Bigfoot give gifts back, and then they'll be located. These gifts might be somewhere else where the previous hiker that gave it to them, to the Bigfoot originally, they might be walking in an area that they didn't even know they were going to go to that day. However, the Bigfoot obviously knew they were going to go there. So that's why they left the gift for them to see again. So this happens a lot. So people are like, how did they know that? They knew I was going to be there before I knew I was going to be in that location. There's something to this. And when you're talking about, well, they'll go in maybe on a Tuesday, they'll come back out on a Thursday, but they can also go back in and go to the Monday before. When you were talking about the time warps and portals that they can play with time, it was like, well, there you go. They know, they just go through these time warps. It made so much sense with everything you said and what people have told me before. So we need to get into that one again. That was just amazing.
It really was. It makes me sometimes, every now and then I think I should just go back into session and reconnect with Sasquatch, because it was very profound for me. It was very meaningful. And I felt as though I had somehow connected with a consciousness so far superior to my own. And here I always thought of, if I ever did think about Bigfoot, it was more like Harry and the Hendersons. It was like some big ape, some big ignorant ape. But no, this was a very evolved, wise
Harry wasn't even a big dumb ape. He was cool. He had a personality.
I don't remember. I don't even remember the movie. It was so long ago. But I just remember, this. It looked like an ape, and so it was kind of like, oh. When I communed with Sasquatch, I found a very wise, loving, benevolent, amazing being that was multidimensional, and I didn't expect to find that at all. That was something way beyond. Of course, I didn't know what I was viewing in the beginning anyway. I mean, when I first started, I didn't have any clue what it was going to be.
I think the first thing you said was, "It's a Bigfoot."
I started the session. I looked at Jim. I was like, "Oh no, I think it's Bigfoot. Just tell me it's not going to be, just tell me it's not Bigfoot so I can get that out of my mind." And Jim just looked at me and said, "Go for the unknown, Lori."
Go for the unknown. That's right. That was great. You knew, that's how good she is, you guys. She knew immediately what it was, but Jim, as the monitor, held back and let her go for the unknown. And that's where some of the things she got, which I know there's some Bigfooters in there right now. Make sure you check it out, by the way. Again, it's a Baffler here on Blue Rock Talk. The really interesting thing is, there's a lot of glyphs that are put there, put in places, and people believe their messages to them. And then there's these structures, and you were saying those are messages for the other ones coming out so that they'll know what they're going into. I just went, whoa, that makes more sense than, everybody's egos being hit, as that was for me. Not that they are not, because there is a relationship with these, but I can see where some of the other ones would definitely be, maybe when they come into, come from that portal, and it says, hey, there's a bunch of wild kids that run across here, or there's some food over to the right that we have for you, whatever. I just think that's really cool, and they do it with nature. So at one point, I want to get you out into the woods so you can see these things for yourself and see what you get from it, okay?
Well, we live on the edge of the forest, of a national forest, and so our west gate opens into the national forest.
How far away is it?
It's on our property. I mean, the national forest gate opens right there to the national forest and our property.
They're right there.
So, I know, and so that's why we think we've definitely had some encounters with Bigfoots since I've done the session. It's almost like it attracted Bigfoot to our home, and we've had some guests that have had some encounters with Sasquatch, and we've had some encounters with Sasquatch. Jim had a Sasquatch come in the room one night and grab his big toe.
And the spiritual Sasquatch. You didn't see an actual hairy one, did you?
No, I haven't. We've just had a lot of activity that seems like Sasquatch-ish to us.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you're the one who told me, well, it's because you live right on the national forest,
That's right.
Hey, we had a message from Reverend Davey who says he's missing the Williams Ranchito. And it's so funny
Reverend
because
Davey, Blue
Reverend
Rocker.
Davey was a Blue Rocker, and he didn't know that you and I were connected at all.
That's
and yet he's his dad and Jim's dad were best friends from the time they were 8 years old. And he and Jim saw each other the whole time they were growing up and were really good friends. And Davey frequently visits us at our place. And so then he's like, "Oh, I knew somebody named Connie Willis, and I told her she should interview you." And I was like, "Connie's my dear friend, and she's already interviewed me a lot of times." Yeah. So it was
That's
funny.
right. That's right. Well, that's interesting. And some Bigfooters in here are making mentions in here. Mike Crow, welcome. Blue Rocker here. Well, here is one I have to go back and watch. Sorry I missed so much. Well, got to wake up over there, Mr. Taxman. These tax people are getting busy right now, right?
Yeah.
And then Anita back there. Oh my gosh, what a cool place to live. That is very cool to hear. Yeah, she's got some things going on. We've got some other people in here saying great show and good evening from I-75 North in Georgia. I guess Rallis is traveling right now. Kat Jones, hey there. My first time on here. Oh, so Kat Jones, your first time here. You're now official Blue Rocker as long as you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. That way you'll hear about some of the other notifications. So we talk about crypto Connie here. We talk about cryptocurrency and all sorts of alternative medicines. Soon it'll be medical marijuana, and then Far Out Thursday, Bigfoot Friday. Be sure and watch the documentary. I got the link down below. Anita saw that one, so Anita can speak to it as well. Some other people in here that can speak to that. The thing about it is, and you should check it out actually, Lori, because the thing about it is this team called Sasquatch Journey, just a husband-wife team, just like you two, very much in love, does everything together. They were looking at something new to do, right? And so they started Bigfooting, and they love it. That's what they do together, to stick together and hang out and not drive each other crazy.
Oh, I think we would love to Bigfoot. We've already had a lot of experiences with Bigfoot. Bigfoot reconnected me with my very first love from when I was 15 years old. 15 years old.
That's right.
My first love his name was Jack Breeden. He gave me permission to mention his name.
Okay.
But anyway, and Jack and I were madly in love when we were 15, and it had a profound effect on me. And we were kind of torn apart by parents, well-meaning people who thought maybe this was getting a little too intense for people that
mind your own business, parents.
And so we kind of got pulled apart, and then we lost touch. And I had friends who told me he had died. So after I did the Bigfoot show, it turns out that he was a big Bigfoot aficionado who had been having regular encounters with Bigfoot in his place in Tennessee. And so he's had crazy things happen, like leaving peanut butter out for Bigfoot in a brand new jar with an unopened jar of peanut butter. And then the jar will reappear on his dining table empty, with just crazy stuff. Anyway, so
when it's in your house, how'd that get there?
Yeah, really weird stuff. And I got to tell you, we've had, I told you we were starting to miss a lot of stuff. Stuff was starting to disappear. A lot of that stuff has returned, but it returns like where it suddenly we hear a clatter and it's like right in front of us in the middle of the floor. Wow. Just something like that. It just like manifests and falls out of the air. So wow. It's pretty weird stuff. And then, I didn't tell you that night before last, I think it was it the night before last that your glasses moved across the table? So the night before last, we're just there, and we were actually watching a movie, and we just had the laptop open. We were just streaming on the laptop, and so the whatever it was we were watching, it just ended. And all of a sudden, and Jim watches TV without his glasses. So his glasses were on the table out of reach of both of us. And suddenly his glasses shoot 5 inches away from us, and just by themselves, they just moved.
You saw it.
And I was looking right at him, and I went, Jim, your glasses just moved 5 inches across the table. And so Jim looks around because the laptop was kind of in his way. So he looks around. And he goes, well, could it be, that they're connected to something? Just try moving something around and see if they move. Wow. So we moved a few things around. Nothing happened. The glasses were just sitting there. And all of a sudden they went bloop, and they bounced and about an inch. They moved about an inch, but they bounced up in the air. And Jim goes, "Oh my gosh, I saw it," and so we were like, "Oh wow!" So we wondered if was that Bigfoot just having fun with us? We didn't know because
Yeah, it could be that. It could be some long lost relative or somebody in that area. Who knows? I mean, that could be kind of anything. But you've been attributing it to this Bigfoot that doing pranks, and that's what they do. And a lot of people, I've not seen the woo woo part where they're in your home, and I hope not to. But you have.
Well, also
And a
though,
lot of people
my
have.
whole life I've had a lot of psychokinetic type stuff, that happen around me. Like I told you about the time that we had that big bottle of brand new laundry soap that just lifted up in the air and spun around and fell down on the floor. And stuff like that. We just have some bizarre physical things happen. And so, I don't
That
know
would be
if
pretty freaky, though. Come on.
I try to look for scientific explanations, and sometimes I wonder if maybe there's just kinetic energy. Like if I get really stirred up and excited, if maybe that creates it. I don't know.
Well, I know that the day that my dad passed away, we were back at the house that evening. My mom was laying in her bed, or sitting up. She was sitting up, and I was at the end of it. She was sitting up pretty close to it, and I was at the end of it. And so it was, their bedroom. And my dad used to suck on those little peppermint candies all the time.
Yeah.
And one of them came out of the air and hit me.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, Mom, what'd you do that for? Out of everything that's going on today, now you're throwing candy right at me? And she was like, what are you talking about? I said, you just threw this candy at me. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did, Mom. No, I didn't. And sometimes she does things and she did, but she didn't do this. And I believe Dad did that without a shadow of a doubt. We didn't even have any peppermint candies around us. And my mom, if she had it, she would have eaten it. It was thrown at me, and I believe that was from Dad letting me know, hey, I'm here. And then there's nothing else that would have represented Dad better than the little peppermint candy he always had in his pocket. Unless it was a Rolo.
Yeah, how it's so neat how they communicate to us from the other side. My dad loved picking up pennies. And so right after he passed away, this boy got left at our house. He was playing video games with my son, and his mother was on the lam from the police or something.
Oh,
and his dad was in a nursing home having been shot in a really bad drug deal.
Oh,
and he had been
gosh.
living with his mother's boyfriend, and he dropped him off at our house and ran away and never came back. And this boy ended up living with us for 2 years. But we had just gotten married, and so we were newlyweds. And this boy is there, and we're like, oh my gosh. And we tried to find the guy. We just, we found out that the boy had been really abandoned. And so
Wow.
we're talking, and Jim and I go walking around. We're walking around a circle, and there's a median in the street in front of our house at that time. And we're walking around this little median, and we've gone around the median like 5 times, and we're discussing what should we do with the boy. And I'm like, we've got to take him in. We've got to take him in. And we come around, and Jim's like, but we just got married, and and how are we?
And I want you all by myself, woman.
Well, no, he's just like, how are we going? We already had 2 kids in the house living with us. My 2 children.
Okay.
He's like, how are we going to take in this boy? This boy weighed 300 pounds, and he was a big boy. He was a big 15-year-old boy. And so he's like, how are we going to take care of this boy? And we came around for like the 6th time, and all of a sudden we looked down, and on the ground were like hundreds of shiny, brand new copper pennies. And we had walked over that exact spot 5 times, already going around the circle. And suddenly these pennies were there. And I looked at Jim, and he looked at me, and I said, that's my dad. And he was like, yeah, we need to keep the boy. I was like, yeah, we need to keep the boy. Wow. So he stayed with us actually till he graduated from high school. And he's doing really well. We're still friends with him. And it was really a great experience, actually.
Wow.
He's a really sweet guy, and enriched our lives.
Well, that's good. But when it goes back to when they can give things to you from the other side, I'm like, Dad, gold nuggets. Gold nuggets. Drop them anywhere you want. Lots of them. If they can choose, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, when my dad always loved traveling. Jeez. And he loved meeting foreigners. And so when we were going to Moscow, as we started down the little ramp that you go and get on your plane, right here in the city, we looked down, and there were quarters all over the ground. And I started picking up the quarters, and I was looking around to see if anybody was looking like what they had lost. And everybody was just heading towards the plane. Nobody had lost anything. And there were literally like several quarters.
Wow.
And then we land in Heathrow, and I go to use the restroom. I'm in the bathroom. I went to wash my face, and I look, and there was a 10-pound note stuck to the side of the sink. And I came out of the bathroom with this 10-pound note, and I was like, Jim, I just found 10 pounds in the restroom.
Oh, a note. Is that a form of money?
Yeah,
note?
yeah.
Oh.
It's like, yeah. So 10 pounds, it was about $15 at the time.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what did the note say? What did the note say?
Yeah, so a 10-pound note is $15.
Okay.
At least it was at that.
Wow. Dad giving you little treats along the way.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, I love what you're doing. Here's some money.
So did you say, hey, Dad, this is not going to give me much, but thanks.
Can I have a little more than $15, please?
I'll split a Coke with Jim. Okay, thanks. A cup of water. I love it. Kat Jones, thank you for being a subscriber. I appreciate that. She subscribed a couple weeks ago, but she now caught it live, so that's really cool. So thank you so much. Excellent people, excellent Blue Rockers. So everybody, Lori Williams, put your hands together for the woman. Jim's over there ready to go to bed. He's like, come on.
He is. He's like, ooh, he looks tired.
But you know what? He's a good guy. You got a good guy. He's not, he's not going to be mad at you for it. He's like, do your thing.
Long suffering.
Oh, good for you. Yeah. I heard him over there hacking. Is he okay?
Yeah, are you okay, Jim? She's heard you coughing. She wanted to be sure you're
hacking out a little bit, a little hairball. He's okay?
I'm fine, yeah.
Oh, good. I don't, yeah, he's a good guy. So you guys when is it again? February what?
February 7th.
That's right.
That's when I have it on the calendar anyway.
That's right. That's the anniversary of my dad passing away.
Oh, wow.
So maybe he'll throw out some gold that day instead of
That'd be
peppermint.
great.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so Bafflers coming up with Lori Williams on February 7th here on Blue Rock Talk. So everybody give Lori a big hand. Put your hands together. Lori, yay. Anything else you want to say before you go?
No, if anybody wants, I have a ton of free stuff on my website if you guys are interested. That's intuitivespecialists.com. Excuse me, .com.
What was that?
I apologize.
What?
Anyway, so yes, that's intuitivespecialist.com. And there's a whole tab called free stuff. There's also really interesting blogs. Some of them talk about ghost stories and interesting things that might fascinate you. So there's one all about the most interesting remote viewing sessions that I had done up to date at that point of time when I was writing. So dive into the blogs and jump into some of the free teachings and mini classes.
Oh, yeah.
And if you sign up on my list, you get a free class called Secrets of the Ancients. And it's an amazing course. It's a full-blown course that I think you'll love. So anyway.
You know what you got to do, that I have everybody do this, and you may have done it. You may have done it before, but you got to think something up. You got to do a Blue Rocker special for people. If any of these Blue Rockers come to you, they got to get a Blue Rocker special.
What's that?
Some sort of discount from you.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's a great
Remember,
idea.
we did that before, I believe.
I don't know.
I think.
But yeah. So there's tons of free stuff, Blue Rockers, that you can get on my website. And I will set up a special Blue Rocker coupon to give you guys a discount.
Excellent. Okay, good. Got to do that. Got to take care of Blue Rockers.
How about this? I'll give all the Blue Rockers a 10% discount on any course they sign up for.
You got to do more than that. You can't do 10%. It's got to be more.
Can't do 10%?
Yeah, because that's weak. Anybody can do 10%.
Okay.
So
maybe let me talk to my IT guy.
50 for no. Okay, yeah. Just make it as special as you can. That's all. Yeah. Okay. When people want to come on, they want to do 10%. I'm like, what? No, that's not even worthy of the show. No, that's not even worthy for Blue Rockers. Something just grabbed my arm. What? Maybe it was my. I hope it was just that cord. Ooh. No, you decide what it is. Just make it very special, even if it's just it doesn't have to be across the board, but. You got to make it banging, banging Blue Rocker.
How about if we give Blue Rockers 20% off?
There you go. That's a Blue Rocker special.
All right, we'll do that. I'll talk to my IT guy and tell him to create a special Blue Rocker coupon.
Excellent.
For Blue Rockers.
See, Blue Rockers, how I take care of you. It's she could have stopped at 10.
It's hard. Let me tell you, she's tough.
Had to make it work. And I hope that you guys take advantage of that, because let me tell you guys, you're gonna like, it'll blow your mind when you do it yourself. And if you just watch her do sometime besides doing the Bafflers, we should just show you doing maybe one of your past ones or something with crime, or something like the one where you had the people on the ship or the boat, and the submarine comes up, or any of them.
Oh, yeah.
That is just really cool, where they actually see it happen. I'll never forget the first time that I actually saw Lynn do it, because he never likes to do it, right? And
Yeah, dog and pony shows are something they were forced to do a lot. I think they kind of are traumatized, some of these military guys, by all the dog and pony shows that they had to do, and the pressure they were under, because they had to prove every single year, they had to prove it worked to get the funding for the next year.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of pressure, that they were exposed to. But yeah, Jim and I have been talking about that, about filming some demos where he's monitoring me and I'm doing a session. And so we're going to be filming some demos for our mentoring clubs. And then we thought we'd film some that we could just put out for free to the public,
I think that's a great
idea. We're have it on our YouTube channel, which we're going to be setting up a new YouTube channel with a lot of great free content, and we're putting new free videos up all the time on the website too. So keep an eye
good. Out. Okay, what's it called?
The YouTube channel?
Yeah.
I guess it's just going to be the Intuitive Specialist YouTube channel.
Okay.
Because my company is called Intuitive Specialist. The website's Intuitive Specialists with an S at the end of Specialists. Right. Anyway, so it's, so I think the YouTube channel is going to be Intuitive Specialists as well. But it's either going to be that or Lori Williams. I'm not sure exactly which. We might already have an Intuitive Specialist one that we're not using or something. But anyway, I do have stuff up on YouTube, but we're going to create a very special one that's going to have a lot of free teaching and a lot of free content on it.
Excellent. Well, one of the things I did want to do, and I'll just say it openly now, was to do some special stuff where you did do it live. And, if you're open to it, besides Baffler, or even doing a Baffler, I don't know. We can talk about that. But I thought it would be very interesting to show you live as you do it. And as I know that takes time to do, we just have to prep people and say, hey, this is what it is. If you want to come watch it. Go get a sandwich.
Maybe that's what we should do on February 7th for the Baffler. Maybe that's what we should do, is just do it live and do the viewing and everything live. And somehow you could let this, I don't know if you want to let the audience know what the target is beforehand. I'll be blind to it, and Jim, but we could just see what comes and do it live. Whenever I tell Lynn that I'm doing this kind of stuff with you, it freaks him out. Yeah, he's like, that's really brave of you to do that on to do that publicly.
I was trying to get him to do it for years. He's like, no, fear of failure.
I always joke with him. I'm like, well, either I'll do well and it'll really make me, or I'll do badly and it'll be like the end of my career. But either way, I think it's going to be fine.
I think it's great. Yeah, because people mess up all the time, but that's something Joe McMonagle had said too before to me when I was trying to do that show years back, right? He said, Connie, they're not going to do it for you live on shows or anything like that. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, they're not going to do it because they're afraid it won't happen. It will be wrong. He says, I'm the only one that will do that. And at that point, he was doing it. This was a while back. He was the only one that was doing it, I guess, at that point on some shows. Right, there were some documentaries, not any series.
Yeah, it would be fun. I think it would be fun to do it. It'd be great.
So too.
So yeah.
But here's Lori, the brave one, doing it. That's right. Yay.
Yeah, us women, we got to show that we've got some balls, right?
That's right.
Am I allowed to say balls on the radio?
On YouTube, you can say that because people just think. I think the TV series Goldberg says it all the time instead of him saying a bad word.
We have to prove that women have cojones.
She's got some kahunas.
Women have huevos.
She's got some grapes. Grapes. I always thought the one grapes was funny. My grapes. Your grapes. You got grapes? Is that what I think it is? Anyway, that's fun talk. All right, you guys, sorry about that. The art of the deal, Willis. Yeah, we'll have to think about doing that. The only issue is if there's any problems like we had on live stream tonight, and then we, take it off and come back on, people are going to go, oh, somebody told her this. Now she knows what it is. All that stupid stuff that happens when
that's one of the problems is when you're dealing with something like this, the skeptics, if you do super well, the skeptics say, oh, well, they must have told her because she couldn't possibly do that well. Yeah. If you do badly, they say, oh, it doesn't work. See,
you're lousy.
And so you can't win. You can't win if you can't win for losing. If you do well, you lose. If you do bad, you will lose. So, but I've kind of gotten over the whole thing about trying to convince anybody who's really just absolutely adamant against it. Forget trying to convince them. I know that I have integrity. I know that I'm honest. Yeah. I don't need that. I don't care if anybody else believes me or not.
It's true. You do have to get over that too, by the way. It's not easy. Being on coast, people really find you as a target and they, shoot you down with names and this and that. And being here, on Blue Rock, you get that too. Just putting up this Bigfoot in the Rockies documentary, I kept it very raw, but then I added some music to it that I felt, gave it an eerie feeling. Because when you're out, because this is my vibe, when I'm out there, whether people are there or not, when you're in the midst of these areas and you feel something watching you, it's eerie because you also know, you can imagine what it looks like, or maybe you've seen it or a piece of it went by or something like that, and you're just like, oh my gosh, they're watching us. And we all three got the same vibe. So you have this little eeriness and this lurking around kind of feeling. That they're walking with you and they're hidden, and you see what they've built and what they put together, then you see their footprints. So I just gave the music that worked for me and what I thought worked, and then I had this breathing in it, only because that thing that is lurking and looking at you from a distance, that's about what the breath would sound like from those big giant lungs. And so that's just what I wanted to do. And then there's, hey, I didn't like the Darth Vader sound. What? Darth Vader? Oh, no, that's the sound of a Bigfoot breathing. Everybody's just a critic. It's, can you just enjoy? Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you liked. And that's the problem. Everybody focuses on the hate of something.
Well, this is what I have to say to people like that.
Tell me what you like.
If you're going to feel like you have to critique something, before you do, ask yourself, well, what have I done lately? Have I created a video like that? Have I done a movie? Have I created a documentary? Because really, there was an old saying that said, you don't get shot at till you come out of the foxhole. And so a lot of people live their entire lives inside the foxhole, Connie, and they never come out. So you have come out of the foxhole.
Yeah.
By doing Blue Rock, by doing Coast to Coast, you've come out of the foxhole. You've exposed yourself. And I've exposed myself too. And so there's a lot of people who won't take any chances, but they take a lot of pot shots from the foxhole because they don't want to have to do that themselves. So whenever I hear anybody criticizing, I'm like, oh, that's okay. That's somebody who's hiding in the foxhole, and it's easier to criticize when you haven't done anything yourself. And I don't take those too seriously.
They, the internet's really made those people come alive because they can hide behind that computer.
Yeah.
And say anything they want. There was I think I've always been out of that foxhole. I think you have too. I think we were born out of that foxhole. But
I think so too. Our mothers gave birth to us right outside the foxhole.
Yeah, exactly. What's that foxhole down there? Wait a minute. I don't want to go into that one. When they show pictures of people that are those trolls and those haters, at least there was at least one picture I saw that someone had labeled, here's one of those trolls, here's one of those haters right there. And it was just somebody just on a nasty old sofa with popcorn and Cheetos and everything all over the place, and just no clothes, hadn't been washed or anything. Didn't care for themselves whatsoever, and it was all dark, and they were just cutting on the world. And I thought, you know what? That's right. That's the visual I need to think of every time I see that, because people like me, people like you, we like to, it's my world. In television and radio, we want to entertain or keep you engaged. We want to make sure what we're talking about is interesting, and we haven't lost you. So when you hear those things, we put ourselves out on a limb. Like you said, you're brave to live stream. You're brave to do a remote viewing target live, even do a baffler. And when these people say those things, you're already wide open. So when somebody throws a dart or a spear at you, it does hurt. because you're wide
It
open.
does. It does.
It hurts.
It can be painful. I've learned that I have to get a tougher skin because I can't be such a sensitive person.
But you got to do it correctly, right? Because if you put up a wall to hide it, you can lose that openness that you're giving out there, that you're supposed to give, that works, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
and it gives you that vibe to feel if you're right or not, as you steer yourself. So if you put those walls up, you may not know if everybody's still engaged with you. At least that's what I do. Yeah. I can kind of feel, I don't think anybody's listening to this anymore. Let me steer over this way. But if I have too many walls, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So you got to try to get that little guards in between, so it can stop those little spears. So George Norrie gave me the best advice of all.
What did he say?
Because poor guy, he gets a ton. And he's a polished broadcaster, right? He's the best of the best, and he's king of these types of shows. He said, "Ignore them, Connie." He's right. That's all. That's what you do. You just ignore them.
And a lot of the big gurus nowadays that are out there a lot. When what they say is, you could get 500 positive comments and one negative, and you'll spend the day obsessing over that one negative one.
It's true.
And
it's true.
And so, what I've learned to do is just kind of feel sympathy for a person who has to just lash out.
It's a projection of themselves.
Yeah, I see sometimes when people are lashing out like that, they have a lot of self-hatred, and it just manifests in that way. So it's kind of a sad thing.
So Reverend Davey inside the live chat says, "Ignore the haters and losers." He's right. Same advice that George Norrie gave, and it's A1 advice. So Mike Crow's in here. What's he say? "Come on, all of us talk and deal with stuff that people doubt us daily. Every one of us must have the confidence all the time. It took us a long time, but here we are." Yeah, it's just it's just. And he's with Myth Chasers. Make sure y'all check out Myth Chasers too.
Myth Chasers, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Mike's serious into it. He's your definite reporter, news anchor kind of dude, into it all. So yeah.
It has been so fun to be here with you.
We can always talk. So yeah, we got to close this out. Let you go.
I have really enjoyed it. I got to go take Jim and put him to bed.
Poor little Jim.
And we left Molly and George alone in the house.
Who's Molly and the dogs?
Mm-hmm.
Now, why do you have them in a cage in that picture? Why?
The cages aren't there. When they were both rescues and they were raised using crates, crate trained, and they had been abused, so the crates were like their safe place.
Oh.
So for a while, the crates were there, but then when they really acclimated, then the crates went away.
Good.
There are no crates. No more crates.
Good.
But the crates for them were a safe place. I mean, Jim and I adore them, and they get tons of love and tons of treats, and lots of room to roam. So they're very, very happy. They're very happy and well taken care of dogs, and they don't live in cages.
Oh, well, Reverend Davey says love to George and Molly.
Yes, and he sees them. Reverend Davey, do we have any cages in our house now? Did you ever see any cages? Reverend Davey babysits George and Molly a lot when we have to travel.
All right. The Blue Rocker's back, and Income Mobile is a proud Blue Rocker, too. Love it, Lori. Thanks. Everybody's saying good things. Thanks, you guys, for being there. If you are in the live chat, please hit that like button, too. So, Lori, take off. See you later.
Thanks so much. You guys have a great everybody have a great weekend, and much, much love to you from Jim and I.
All right. And we will see you guys.
February 7th.
We'll see her later. All right, woman. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
That, everybody, is Lori Williams. She's heading home now with Jim, and they're going to their EarthShip that they have. So I'm glad you enjoyed this. We had all sorts of things that we talked about. It's a Far Out Thursday. We talked about remote viewing. We talked about Bafflers coming up. We talked about EarthShip and all these neat little homes that are out there. So I like it. I want to remind you guys, you see that, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, be sure and hit that like button for me, too. And please spread the word about Blue Rock Talk. Now, do not forget, down below, there is a link to that Bigfoot in the Rockies documentary. I hope that you guys will check it out and tell me what you think. And if it's something negative, then you can go, oh, I'm sorry, I won't say anything. No, you can say whatever you want. It's okay. But I hope that you like it. It was interesting. 7 hours, and we saw more things than people see in decades of looking. It's just the way it is. What else do we have? So Bigfoot Friday will not be happening tomorrow night because I will be on, I will be on Coast to Coast. I'm going to be talking with Jim Peniston of the Rendlesham incident. That's the UK's Roswell, right? He's got a new book coming out, so he's going to be talking about things that he's never spoken of before. So that's going to be incredible. He's a good guy. I really like him, and I'm looking forward to what he tells us tomorrow because I want it to be a surprise as well. All right, he and I talked. And we didn't talk about anything because I want to be just as surprised as you guys are. That's kind of my style anyway. So don't forget that we do have Blue Rocker merchandise, hoodies, Blue Rocker hoodies, Blue Rocker mugs, and Blue Rocker shirts. One day when I see somebody wearing one, I'm going to freak out. It's going to be so cool. You're going to have me run up to you and hug you. So do not hurt me when I do that. Don't forget that Lori's got some books, and all her links are down below so that you can find all the information that you're looking for. All right, I guess that's it. So I am going to tell you guys to, again, like I said, join me tomorrow night on Coast to Coast, and we'll be back here on, let's see, Stan's Bible Lecture will be on Sunday, 2 p.m., and in between, just being on Coast. And you never know, I might just drop in. And again, Laura will be back with Bafflers on February 7th, coming up. Wow, I can't believe, man, that's coming up. So we better figure out what we're going to do for that. I mean, anyway, I can't give anything away, so I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for being here, Blue Rockers. Thanks for supporting me, and keep doing it so Blue Rock Talk stays alive. See you tomorrow night on Coast to Coast. Bye, everybody.